What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel. As always, I'm joined by co-host George today, and we've got some transfer news to round up for you in today's video. Obviously, kicking things off with Chelsea, as we're both massive Chelsea fans, and that's what the channel's mainly about. Yesterday, it was confirmed that Chelsea had matched PSG's bid for Inter Milan fullback Achraf Hakimi. It's common knowledge now that Inter Milan need to raise funds. It's one of the reasons why Antonio Conte left and didn't want to be part of the project anymore. Inter Milan looking to recoup 80 million euros for Hakimi. We've bid 56 million pounds to match PSG's offer. Again, interesting to see where this one goes. I think from a Chelsea perspective, we've got a little bit more leverage in the deal in terms of we've got assets we can offer Inter Milan in terms of the likes of Emerson. And so I think a deal can be done there. In terms of Hakimi himself, George, obviously a very promising fullback. Again, a great age in terms of 21, 22 years of age. Probably one of the best wing backs in Europe. What are your thoughts on this deal? And if it goes through, do you think it's a good bit of business for the club?
Yeah, I mean, we discussed this in greater detail the other day, didn't we? And actually, you correctly drew to my attention that it's quite a smart move from Chelsea. Originally when I saw the news come through, I was a bit like, is this an area that we really need to address? We've got we've got Reece James, we've got Azpilicueta, and obviously on the other side, we've got Chilwell, Alonso, Emerson. So was it really an area that we really needed to target first of all in the market? But actually, you referred to his age there, and with, in a contrasting view, we've got a lot of players that are, surplus to requirements in the likes of Emerson. Azpilicueta's not getting any younger. So I think all round, actually, with the inclusion of maybe reducing that fee and including some of the players that we want out, I think that's what a lot of clubs are going to have to do in this window with the financial circumstances and with the situation with COVID as well. I think it's hit everyone financially. So I think it's a smart bit of business from Chelsea. Actually, I don't know a lot about the player. But I know he's a very aggressive fullback, likes to get forward, can also play higher up the field as well. So I think it's a smart move. I think it's a good start really for us in the market.
Yeah, I think a lot of I've been checking the kind of the online reaction to the news. Obviously, the deal's not gone through yet by any means, but a lot of fans saying, why do we need to go in for Hakimi? We've got Reece James, etc. But I think what people are missing here is the bigger picture. When an opportunity presents itself to add a quality player to your lineup for perhaps a reduced fee than what might normally be expected, you've got to take it. You need, as we know, we want to be fighting on all competitions, going deep into those competitions. We're going to be playing 60 plus games a season. You need two quality players in each position. And, as you say, Thiago Silva is going to be 37 next season. The likes of Tomori looks like is going to be leaving. We'll come on to that shortly. And Azpilicueta not getting any younger. We can play Hakimi at right wing back, and Reece James has capably shown that he can slot into right-sided centre half in a 3. So in terms of squad depth, I think it does make a lot of sense, and hopefully we can kind of get this deal over the line and really build a squad. Like I remember very clearly when Jose Mourinho first came into the club back in 2004, we always constructed a squad with two top players in every single position. And I think that's what we need to be looking at. And this signing for me, if we can get it over the line, if we have to include Emerson, then so be it. Then it definitely makes sense to me. And it's someone you're buying with resale value and also a great age profile, that early 20s. So you've got his best years ahead of him, which I think is crucial. But moving away from the defensive side of things, George, obviously, it looks like we're not going to be getting Romelu Lukaku. Obviously, as fans, we probably thought he'd be the most likely to come out of the 3 we've been linked with. But having done interviews with Belgian media, and his agent has come out in the last day or so saying that Lukaku's got a contract, the situation is what it is, he's going to be staying put. And with Harry Kane going to be very difficult to prize away from Tottenham, not rumours as such, reports have been gathering momentum in the media that we're kind of going all in on Erling Haaland in terms of not really wanting to wait until his release clause becomes active in the summer of 2022. We are prepared if you believe those reports, to pay up the 150, 160 million euro fee that it would take to tempt Dortmund. Obviously, I think we're aware that a deal of this magnitude is going to be very difficult to get done. Where do you stand on it? Like, obviously, we're keen to get it done. Can you see a deal being done, or do you just think it's going to be too difficult to get Dortmund to sell?
Well, look, firstly on the Lukaku front, I mean, we have very different opinions on the striker. It may not be a popular opinion, but I think it's good that we didn't pursue that, and that ended up kind of fizzling out. I think he's an aging striker. Yes, he's a good finisher and all the rest of it, but there's something about bringing old players back. We've done it before. It's never as good second time around. And people will argue on Lukaku that maybe he didn't get a good enough first crack at it, so we haven't really seen the full potential. And actually, he's excelled elsewhere. But for me, I think it's like you say, with the whole resale value and investing in the future and what Chelsea want to achieve, I think Erling Haaland makes way more sense in that regard. Being so young, and he's the type of player that I think suits the way we play a bit more. We don't want that kind of hold up striker with his back to goal and trying to score goals on the turn. He's got electric pace, and I think he would suit really well. I think he would fit in quite well actually to the front line. The fee is an issue. It's a huge issue. There've been talks, haven't they, that possibly we would exchange maybe Tammy up for him as well. I don't know which other players are involved, but that's the biggest issue, isn't it? Whether we take a huge hit, which I think we should do. I think we've got to, if he's available, and Dortmund just say, look, we're prepared to let him go for the correct fee. I think we've got to kind of burst the bank and go for it, because we'll regret it otherwise. Because people are going to be on him like hotcakes next season, and we don't want to say, well, I told you so. We've done that with loads of other players that we've missed out on. I mean, Aguero being one of them. We used to pursue Aguero when he was at Atletico Madrid, and look how he turned out. So, yeah, I think we've got to do it, even though it's quite excessive.
Yeah, I'd have to totally agree with you there, mate. I think, look, I don't think we want to leave it to chance that we'll be able to get him in a scramble next season at a massively reduced price, because obviously the price next season brings a whole range of clubs in, and it gives them a lot more choice. If we can get the deal done this summer and we've got the money, as you said, mate, I just think we have to go for it. Opportunities like this to get hot talent in world football don't come up very often. And if we can do it, then we have to strike whilst we can, get ahead of the game. Otherwise, we're leaving it to chance, as I said, next summer. So again, I think it's another one that's going to rumble on for a while, but hopefully it can end up in the outcome that, as Chelsea fans, we would love to see. And what a prospect Haaland at Stamford Bridge would be next season. But let's obviously not allow ourselves to get too carried away there. In terms of outgoings, briefly, George, on Chelsea, we'll start with one which I think me and you both share is a real shame. Fikayo Tomori, it looks like he's going to complete his permanent transfer to AC Milan for the 28 million euro buy option. That should be announced in the next couple of days. Just a quick word on your thoughts around that transfer.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about great bits of business from Chelsea in the likes of Hakimi and going for Erling Haaland, but then what a terrible bit of business this whole thing has transpired to be with Tomori. I mean, young British talent coming through, played very well under Frank Lampard, heavily favoured by youth team staff and first team staff, and to let him go with that ridiculous contract where they had an option to buy at the end of it. I still don't know why that was set up. And he, again, is going to bite us in the arse, because he's gone to Serie A, he's done very well, and actually now he wants to stay because they put the faith in him and Chelsea didn't. And I just hope, obviously I hope he does well for his own personal endeavours, but at the same time, I just hope it doesn't become one of those like the Salah or the Kevin De Bruyne situation where we've let them go and they turn out to be another world beater. But for 28 million pounds, I mean, it's an absolute steal, a terrible bit of business all around from Chelsea.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, Matt. I just think it's just a shambles. That we always tend to do this with certain individuals, and this looks like another one that's going to come back and haunt us, really, in terms of the fact that we've let a top player go for basically peanuts in this day and age. But what can we do? It's done now, so we just have to kind of move on from it. But it's a real shame, because with Thiago Silva aging, it's hard to find top level centre halves in the market. particularly for that. You won't get anyone that's good for that price. So I think we've kind of missed the trick there. But we move on and we wish him all the best, obviously. In terms of a couple of other outgoings, very quickly, George, obviously Lazio announced Maurizio Sarri as their new manager, I believe, yesterday. Just a quick side link on that. If you haven't seen how they announced it on their Twitter, it's class. They literally, it was just a cigarette emoji, which was very, very fitting for Maurizio Sarri. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, someone we've spoken about quite extensively in the past, mate. Reportedly wanted on loan by Lazio with an option to buy. Would this make sense to you?
Makes sense to them, perhaps. I mean, Sarri was actually one of the players that gave, managers that gave Ruben a lot of faith, actually. And we saw him when we went to go and watch the League Cup final a couple of years back, and he was one of the best players on the pitch. And I've always been a fan of Ruben Loftus-Cheek, actually. But like we've discussed before, maybe his time at Chelsea was up, and with the quality we always have in midfield by being such a high-profile team, and subsequently not even getting into a side that have now been relegated, couldn't get a consistent place in a team like that. Maybe he is best elsewhere to develop as a player. It's a shame because I think he had something very unique about him in his stature. He was 6'3", 4", very energetic, good on the ball. But yeah, maybe going to Serie A might, enhance and broaden his footballing ability and his ability to adapt. And I wish him all the best. But again, there's a slight gap and a hole for me that he could have been potentially another great in a blue shirt, but he's going to be playing elsewhere. But yeah,
I'd have to agree. I think he's kind of, as much as I hate to say it, I think he has missed the boat at Chelsea, and he probably played his best football at Chelsea under Maurizio Sarri. So maybe a reunion there. New league, new experiences might be exactly what he needs. And just one other on Chelsea before we move on to the other transfer news, mate. Callum Hudson-Odoi, he's happy to stay at the club, but the club if offers came in for him this summer, the club would be prepared to listen to them. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a tough one. Hudson-Odoi for me is very 50-50. I honestly wouldn't know what to do if someone proposed me the question of whether to keep him or sell him, because I think we could get a lot of money for him now. Bayern Munich have come in a couple of times and we've rejected it. But does he do enough when he plays? But he's quite young, so it is very touch and go. For me personally, at the moment, I'd probably keep him, just because I don't think Ziyech's done that well this season, and I think we are lacking in the wide areas. So I would keep him, but mate, even you just asking me now, it's a toss of a coin whether I would cash in or keep him. It's a really difficult one. I don't know what you think about that, mate.
Yeah, I think it is. Look, he's shown glimpses when he's played, but I don't think he's been consistent enough, and he's not had a run in the side. And you could argue, should we give him a run in the side, see how he does? But ultimately, if you're good enough, you'll get a run in the side. I just don't think he's quite been good enough. Look, I think it's a win-win for us. Either way, if he stays around, we've got a good player that can play a part in the season across multiple competitions. But then if we could get a good fee for him, then I think it's money that could go towards maybe earning Haaland, or money that could be invested elsewhere, because we are quite blessed in the position he plays in. So it's great if he stays, but if he were to leave and we could get a good fee, as I said, I don't think it's a massive loss for us. But we'll have to wait and see how that pans out. But moving away from Chelsea, George, and on to the saga that dominated last summer's transfer window. It's come out that Jadon Sancho has agreed personal terms with Manchester United on a contract until 2026. All that remains to be sorted is the fee with Borussia Dortmund and Manchester United. They're wanting between 90 to 95 million euros, and they've set a deadline of July 23rd, which is when Dortmund go on their pre-season camp for a deal to be concluded. I think we've said before, it's pretty obvious that Sancho, when he leaves, will end up at Manchester United. Do you think this deal is finally going to happen this summer?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it is, but I'm almost annoyed because I feel like it would be very odd if Dortmund cashed in for Sancho and Haaland in one window. That, although that leaves them with a lot of cash, they know full well that to replicate and to get players in, they could definitely boost the squad, but they would never be able to match the quality of either player, I don't think. I think that's a huge fee for Sancho, and actually it plays into Dortmund's favour because quite rightly they'll wait for the Euros. If England end up doing well and Sancho does well, they could almost bump that up by another 30-40 million quite easily. So it's quite a clever tactic from their point of view. But huge pressure on Manchester United. They keep doing it every window. They seem to, go for even if it doesn't come through, go for a massive transfer, but have delivered nothing so far. And I actually don't think Sancho is worth 95 million in my opinion. But I mean, it's just the way of the world these days. So, average players have suddenly become, 60, 70 million. That's now the benchmark of a good player, and then a world class player, you're looking at 100 plus. So, yeah, I think. Well, it looks like it's going to happen, but then it'll be interesting to see how that then changes the dynamics of the Haaland deal.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you. I think this deal will happen now. I don't think there'll be a repeat of the shambles that was last summer. Dortmund have made it very clear. This is a deadline. This is the fee we want. If you want him, pay the money. And now Manchester United have now got to show that they're serious about the player and just offer the money up. If they want Jadon Sancho, it costs 95 million euros. Pay the 95 million euros. Don't, make it a circus all summer like it was last year. But I do expect that deal to go through. But in terms of what it means for Dortmund, they're not going to want to lose two of their biggest assets in Haaland and Sancho in one window. But money talks, and if they can get, sell both of them, they probably have 250, nearly 300 million euros. That's a lot of money. So yeah, I expect that deal to go through. And I think it'll be a great sign for Man United. I think Sancho would be very good in the Premier League. United have needed a right-sided player. And he's got resale value at a young age. So yeah, I expect that to be done. When it's going to be announced, I have absolutely no idea. I think it could drag on for a little while. And just a couple to round up with, George. PSG have completed 2 free transfers. The signing of Gini Wijnaldum on a free, and also former AC Milan keeper Gianluigi Donnarumma. Just a quick line on those 2 signings on frees.
Yeah, great bit of business for PSG, boosting the squad with experience and someone that's got potential talent to grow in equal measure. Like you said, they look like they're going to loan Donnarumma back out. So that's a clever bit of business considering they've got a decent number 1. And for Wijnaldum, obviously, he's a good player. I just think, again, for whatever happens, the style of play at Liverpool just didn't suit Klopp over time. Difficult. I think he wanted to go the window before, but yeah, good bit of business for PSG, and they're slowly boosting up that squad with great players in each position, which is what you need to do. Yeah,
100% agree. I think they've added some real depth to that midfield now. Wijnaldum's a great player. I know he's 30 years of age, but the way he plays, he's energetic. And he looks after himself. He's definitely got a good few years ahead of him. So as a bit of business, that makes sense. I think from Donnarumma's perspective, PSG probably weren't in the market for a goalkeeper, but when an opportunity presents itself with no transfer fee to sign a great up-and-coming keeper that could be your number 1 for, say, the next 10 years, you've got to take it. And when Navas calls it a day or they decide to move him on, they've already got a ready-made replacement. So, again, great business striking early doors, and PSG, could be one to look out for again in the Champions League next season. But that brings our transfer roundup to an end. As always, smash a like on the video, leave your thoughts in the comments below, and make sure you subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you in the next video.